This is the Skn Newsline Newscast. I'm Andre Huey. Welcome. Another call has been made by the Chief of Staff of the Skn Hospital, Dr. Cameron Wilkinson, for persons to vaccinate. More in this report.
JNF Medical Chief of Staff Dr. Cameron Wilkinson said it is time for the country to unite and protect itself against COVID-19, indicating that people have wasted too much time and there exists now the possibility of instituting mandatory vaccination. According to Dr. Wilkinson, in a pandemic, time wasting costs lives, and he believes that hotel and tourism workers, teachers, healthcare and frontline workers should already have been vaccinated, but they are not.
We should have been at this stage procuring more vaccines instead of worrying about whether or not the 22,280 doses left will expire on us. We are still asking persons to voluntarily come forward and be vaccinated.
Dr. Wilkinson said, however, there are circumstances under public health laws by which mandatory vaccination can be implemented.
There is a strong case for making any vaccine mandatory or compulsory if four conditions are met. One, there is a grave threat to public health, and we know there is, as we've seen millions of persons dying from this vaccine around the world. Two, the vaccine is safe and effective, and we have told you many times, and the science has shown that the vaccines are safe and effective. Three, mandatory vaccination has a superior cost-benefit profile compared to the alternative, and the alternative is voluntary vaccination. And we have seen that persons have been hesitant in voluntarily coming forward and being vaccinated so that we can reach herd immunity. And four, the level of coercion or force is proportionate. In other words, the penalties or costs for non-compliance are proportionate. Well, there is no penalty or fine for not being vaccinated, and the vaccine is not mandated. It, however, only takes one person to create a cluster and community spread, which will certainly lead to curfews and lockdowns.
The medical chief of staff said there is a moral obligation to get vaccinated, saying choosing not to be vaccinated has a cost to the individual, the society, and the country. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
And in a related story, the business community is calling on the public to vaccinate. President of the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Giselle Matthews, is urging members of the public to get vaccinated, despite fears they may have of side effects of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Today we stand here, and we're sadly having to reiterate the same points over and over again, using language like selfish or irresponsible. I don't really take any sort of, if I use that word, I can't say that I'm sorry. I can't stand here and say I'm sorry. I think we need to be responsible, okay? I think what we're seeing today is a possible community outbreak on our hands that this country cannot afford. Neither can our health authorities or the health services afford this outbreak. People have been struggling for over a year and some. Many businesses are on the verge of closing if they're in the tourism and hotel industry. And the power really lies in the hands of those who still need to get vaccinated.
The Chamber President stressed the country cannot shoulder another lockdown, and it is important that people become vaccinated so the economy can reopen as soon as possible.
We advise and encourage all business owners, managers, and their team members to continue to support the rollout vaccination program to achieve our 70% herd immunity. There's no time like the present when we speak today to make the extra effort and decision to protect yourself and your family in the uncertain days ahead. Businesses who are wishing to engage their staff into further sensitization clinics around the island can contact Dr. Carty, is here with us, Marissa Carty, or email marissa.carty@gov.kn. The Chamber can provide that information. If you call the Chamber at 465-2980, our admin staff will be happy to direct you to the necessary contacts at the Ministry of Health. We feel and we know that there are a lot of small businesses who are part of the Chamber, a lot of small and medium businesses who do not have HR departments, who may be a little lost and who are struggling to get their employees vaccinated or convince them to vaccinate or tell them why they should vaccinate. And if you don't have the tools, the Ministry of Health is ready and willing to help you with that. So for our smaller and medium-sized members who are unsure, we've sent out an email to you, giving you that information. Please to use it, and feel free to contact the ministry to help you in that regard. They will come on to your business if you wish, and they will do a briefing for you.
The Chamber President was addressing the NEOC emergency briefing, where she commended the swift response of the actions of the COVID-19 task force and the authorities to prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus in the Federation. I'm Andre Huey reporting for Skn Newsline. Elliots Funeral Parlor is the first licensed embalmer in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a friendly and professional staff. At Elliots Funeral Parlor, we offer a wide range of packages from $6,500, homegoing service at chapel, locally made caskets, tailoring of outfit for deceased of your choice, wake, overnight with slideshow, funeral, death announcement, obituary, booklets, family pin-ons, memorial books, preparation of funeral arrangements, wreath, fresh and artificial. For further information, call 469-3298, 664-2007, or 660-0186. Elliots Funeral Parlor in Gingerland, Nevis. Dedicated to those we serve.
I need some veggies for dinner. Let me just check the amount of sodium in this can. Oh no, this is too much. Let me try our next option. They did say it's healthy to consume less salt. This is much better. I am salt smart.
Football is back, and the St. Kitts and Nevis Football Association will be bringing you live football on its website, www.sknfa.com, with Premier League Live. Without fans in the stadium due to COVID-19 protocols, you can now watch every single Premier League match this season on www.sknfa.com and click on Live TV. Games are shown live on every match day with halftime and post-game shows. It's Premier League Live. Commentary, analysis, action. Never miss a game.
Bless up, Dejo here, and I'm doing my part in the fight against COVID-19 by following all safety protocols and, most importantly, rolling up my sleeve for the vaccine. So I'm encouraging you to do the same, because that's our best shot of protecting ourselves, our family, and our friends. So don't wait, vaccinate. Let's roll up to roll out.
Auto Plus Car Wash, located on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Bring your car to Auto Plus Car Wash to remove water stains, wiper marks. Get your doors, roof panel cleaned, seat floor mats, buffing, headlights, and engine wash. You get quality service at the best price at Auto Plus Car Wash. They really care for your car. Call 765-5140 or visit them on the College Street Gut, Bastyr, St. Kitts. Auto Plus Car Wash, where the service is number one.
Police Superintendent Cromwell Henry clarified the decision to cancel events of large public gatherings in the wake of the first non-travel related case of COVID-19. In an update during the 20th May NEOC COVID-19 briefing, Superintendent Henry said the events where it is difficult to practice social distancing or where COVID-19 protocols are likely to be ignored are the kinds of events that are subject to the cancellation directive. In the update, Henry provided specifics of the affected events.
Parties readily come to mind, so parties of all types, boat rides. We know boat rides is just a party on a boat. Bands and DJs playing at bars and restaurants and other events. These are the main events that are targeted for cancellation. Those persons who would have had permissions, their permissions have been cancelled. You would have received an email by now, and no new permissions will be granted. No karaoke. I've just been asked by Mr. Leswai, who likes karaoke. No karaoke, Mr. Williams. Just the normal bar operation where you may have soft background music at the bar, but no music that would provide for dancing and that sort of activity where persons forget about the social distancing. So we hope that we will get good cooperation. As I mentioned, the compliance teams would be out, the police would be vigilant, and we would ensure that these protocols, these measures are adhered to, and persons found in violation, they run the risk of facing up to $10,000 in fines and to have the establishment closed down.
He said restaurants and bars can continue to operate following established COVID-19 protocols. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
As we continue our focus on the latest COVID-19 updates, the Chief Medical Officer is reporting that the 46th COVID-19 case could be the start of clusters of cases in the Federation. Glenn Bart reports.
Recent non-travel related COVID-19 case of a hotel worker could be the start of local clusters of the disease in the Federation, said Dr. Hazel Laws, the Chief Medical Officer. Speaking at the 20th May NEOC COVID-19 briefing, Dr. Laws indicated that robust contact tracing is taking place in an attempt to contain the spread of the virus, indicating that more will be known when test results are returned for individuals who have been tested so far. Nevertheless, she expressed her belief that it could be the start of local community clusters.
Now, please note that this case, this latest case, is probably the first in a cluster of cases. And so at present, the public health team is engaged in robust contact tracing. The public health team would have identified over 20 close contacts of this case, and I want to reassure the public that all these 20 persons have been placed in quarantine, and their nasopharyngeal swabs have been taken. The samples are being processed at the medical laboratory. The public health team continues testing, and so the team is at work as we speak at the local hotel, testing. Over 100 samples being processed from this exercise alone.
Again, the CMO urged persons to be vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus as it reduces one's risk of contracting the disease, severe illness, or of spreading the disease itself. Glenn Bart reporting for Skn Newsline.
The Skn Newsline website now offers you more news. Log on to www.sknnewsline.com for local, regional, and international news. You can also watch the latest newscast and keep abreast with news in sports, all from sknnewsline.com. That's www.sknnewsline.com. News at your fingertips.
You know, it's me, Mr. HE, and I'm here with one message: roll up to roll out. We all know how difficult things have been during this COVID-19 pandemic. While we continue to wash our hands, wear a face mask, and practice social distancing, how about we take it one step further and get vaccinated? Call the nearest health center to find out if you are eligible to be vaccinated. Or you can contact the Ministry of Health at any one of these numbers down below. Don't be discouraged by the negativity. We all have a role to play in protecting this federation. So, St. Kitts and Nevis, let's roll up to roll out.
Stay abreast with news on St. Martin with SMN News. Visit www.smn-news.com for up-to-date news, scoops, opinions, and hard-hitting facts. SMN News. We tell it like it is. Visit our website www.smn-news.com.
It's the new and improved Skn Newsline Android mobile app. With the Skn Newsline app, you can watch your news reports, the Skn Newsline Newscast, sports, special features, and so much more. You can also send us a WhatsApp or call us directly. Go in the Google Play Store, search Skn Newsline, and download the app today. The Skn Newsline mobile app. News on the go.
Junior, can I get popcorn, please? Santel, Def. Want some to please? I can get some salt. More, please. Boy, take your pack from Junie.
Welcome back. To get an insight in some of the big stories across the region, we now have regional news. In Jamaica, a family in the parish of Westmoreland has been plunged into mourning following the fatal shooting of a 6-year-old boy. Reports from the Westmoreland police are that on Monday, the child was shot in the back while in his yard with other children, allegedly by his 15-year-old cousin who fled the scene. More from CVM TV in Jamaica.
A tragic shooting incident that left a 6-year-old boy dead and his family in mourning and a state of shock. Reports from the Westmoreland police are that 6-year-old Jadine Miller of Dawling Street died on Monday, May 17, after being shot in his back while in his yard with other children, allegedly by his 15-year-old cousin who fled the scene. The 15-year-old boy is reportedly now in police custody and will be questioned in the presence of his attorney. He was handed over to the Savannah Lamar police by his attorney on Tuesday, May 18. Custos of Westmoreland Canon Hartley Perrin says he is excessively concerned about children's exposure to gun violence.
It tells us something about the culture that is developing in our country, or perhaps has already developed, in terms of how the gun is glorified, that it has become a toy in the hand of a child. We can ask itself the questions, where are these guns coming from, and how is it that they are even accessible, even to a small person as 15 years old.
He says children's involvement in gun violence will have far-reaching implications on the society. He is appealing to justices of the peace and members of the public to be vigilant.
To be prepared to give information about the persons who are in possession of illegal firearm, because we are of the view that many persons are aware of the things that are happening in their locale.
Custos Perrin is suggesting counseling and guidance for the minor now in custody. Robeanne Williams for CVM Live.
Government in the Bahamas are moving to secure Pfizer vaccines to vaccinate its young population. Eyewitness News in the Bahamas reports.
Well, government said to be moving quickly to secure another vaccine brand that has recently been given the green light to be administered to children. This as officials underscored what seems to be a growing concern with young people being infected in the third COVID-19 wave. Our Janelle Longley has that.
Minister of Health Ranwid Wells revealing today that government is urgently moving to secure doses of the Pfizer vaccine, the only vaccine that has been approved to be administered to individuals under 18. This after raising concerns with what officials have been observing as an increase in young persons testing positive and or being hospitalized in the third wave.
Those ages 0 to 9 years account for 106 or 3% of the third wave COVID-19 cases. We cannot dismiss the likelihood that this phenomena is a result of variants. While we await confirmation, the changing epi profile is in keeping with the presence of variants, and we are taking action.
The minister was contributing to debate on the extension of the state of emergency for an additional 3 months. While noting a general increase in cases and hospitalizations, he reiterated his stance that the vaccinations are only clear route out of the state of emergency.
At Mark 12 and 30 and 31, we are encouraged that the two greatest laws is to love God and to love our neighbor. If we love God and appreciate life, we will do all that we can to stay alive and to stay well. Getting the vaccine will increase the likelihood of this outcome.
But there is a concern, he says, with the level of hesitancy that remains. Of priority groups, Minister Wells revealed only 15% of individuals in uniform branches of government have been vaccinated, 22% of those 60 and older, and 45% of healthcare workers. Concerns also echoed by the Prime Minister.
If such individuals, by chance, became infected, then those individuals can become super spreaders as they perform their jobs.
Wells urged residents again to take the vaccine, as he suggests government's other option out of the state of emergency is less favorable.
We can restrict the freedom of the general public and impose another lockdown to bring down the cases, contain the hospitalizations, and avoid deaths.
Janelle Longley, Eyewitness News.
It's 7 hours GMT, 10 a.m. in the Gaza Strip, where a new day has come with a ceasefire and fresh hopes for an extended break in fighting between Israelis and Palestinians. This is the Gaza skyline. We're going to show you the most recent pictures. It's a very different scene from the last 11 days, where the telltale signs of bombardment were often seen above the city. Well, that ceasefire between Israel and Hamas came into effect overnight. It's hoped it can end almost 2 weeks of a conflict during which Gaza was pounded by Israeli airstrikes and thousands of rockets were fired towards Israel. At least 233 Palestinians died, 65 of them were children, and 12 people were killed in Israel. This is how news of the ceasefire was received. Celebrations broke out in Gaza, Bethlehem, Ramallah, and in the occupied East Jerusalem neighborhood, which has been at the center of the most recent tensions. Families in Gaza who'd been sheltering at UN-run schools have started returning to their homes after the ceasefire announcement. Many fled to the schools on the outskirts of Gaza City. The UN says nearly 60,000 people have been displaced. Our correspondent, Yumna Al-Sayed, joins us live from Gaza. Yumna, we can see the rubble there behind you, and once the happiness at this news begins to filter through, the rebuilding operation is going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars, surely.
Yes, Peter. I mean, this is another neighborhood where I am now in Beit Hanun, and the neighborhood has been massively destructed. So many civilian homes here have been destructed, and not only that, I mean, infrastructure also has been badly destructed here. The water pipes and electricity lines. So basically, the people or the residents of this entire neighborhood, Beit Hanun, most of the neighborhood, they do not have any water or electricity now, which means that to reconstruct all the infrastructure, the roads and the buildings, great amounts of funding needs to be put in these areas and neighborhoods so that the residents can relive in them again. Now, the problem is these people have moved back to their homes because of lack of all humanitarian aid and services at UNRWA schools, but are now lacking the basic essentials of life in their homes.
OK, Yumna, thanks very much. Yumna Al-Sayed reporting live for us there out of Gaza. Harry Fawcett joins us live as well from West Jerusalem. So, Harry, the narrative, both sides claiming a victory here, is being built hour on hour.
That's right, yes. I mean, the Israelis, to start with, are saying that the civilian restrictions that have been in place, especially the ones very close to Gaza, are now being lifted, apart from schools. They're saying the military emplacements will stay there for several days, monitoring the ceasefire. And yes, as you say, both the Israelis and the leadership of Hamas are claiming victory. Hamas is saying that it exacted concessions out of Israel, both in terms of Israeli activities in Sheikh Jarrah and on the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound known as the Temple Mount to Jews. The Israelis are entirely denying that, saying it is a lie. The Israeli line is that Hamas has been put back by years. That's what the Defense Minister Benny Gantz says in terms of these strikes on the tunnels, on missile production, on senior commanders too. In turn, Hamas is denying that, saying that there are men proudly striding through the tunnels as we speak. So that is the situation in terms of the victory claims. There is a political criticism of the government of Benjamin Netanyahu from the right. One right-wing political leader saying, with the advanced military and intelligence at his disposal, the only thing that Netanyahu has managed to gain is a ceasefire without conditions. So criticism coming in on that front too.
A diplomatic spat between Spain and Morocco, which led to record numbers of migrants entering the Spanish enclave, showed signs of easing on Wednesday as Morocco moved to reimpose border restrictions.
Clashes have broken out between Moroccan security forces and people attempting to reach European territory by swimming around border fences. This week, thousands of would-be migrants forced their way into the Spanish enclave of Ceuta in North Africa. Morocco appeared to have loosened its border controls with the territory following a diplomatic dispute with Spain. But security has now been stepped up.
Desperation just outside of Ceuta. Would-be migrants scuffle with Moroccan security forces, pushing them back. They were blocking the border of the Spanish enclave. As day turned to night, clashes broke out. Police eventually managed to regain control and disperse the crowds of mostly young men. The desire to get across the border is great. Migrants who reach the Spanish enclave often say they have no choice but to leave Morocco. We come here to look for a better future than in my country. There we have no rights or anything. There's nothing, no work, nothing. But what are you going to do? Local Spanish residents say the situation is tense. Many feel overwhelmed. Currently, there's so many arriving, it's really unusual. We're in a kind of state of emergency here, and many residents are really afraid. Personally, I feel safe out on the street. I'm not afraid, but I'm a teacher, and at the moment many of my pupils are not coming to classes because they're scared. Those attempting to swim to Ceuta are now immediately picked up by Spanish soldiers. The number of people crossing into Ceuta reached a peak earlier this week, with some 8,000 entering in a single day. Spain has since deployed the army to patrol the border and send the migrants back.
Señor Presidente.
Speaking to Parliament in Madrid, Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez vowed to restore order and said that nearly 5,000 migrants had been returned.
I remind you that the border with Ceuta is not only a border between Spain and Morocco, but also a European border, and that in this case the lack of control by the Moroccan authorities is not only a lack of respect towards Spain, but also towards the European Union.
Officials in Madrid say they are reinforcing Ceuta's borders to prevent more arrivals.
DW correspondent Jan-Philipp Scholz is in the Spanish enclave of Ceuta and says that tensions there are likely to continue.
It seems like a simple fence between Morocco and Spain, but it has become an important symbol of world politics over the past days. Thousands of migrants have swum across the border. You can still see some of their clothes here. It seems like the price that Spain has to pay for outsourcing some of its border protection and paying millions of euros to Morocco to prevent migrants from passing the border. Now, during a diplomatic dispute, Morocco has started to make use of its power and has started to let migrants pass. Thousands have arrived over the past days, and the challenge doesn't seem to be over.
The Skn Newsline Amateur Basketball Association National Bank Senior League continued on Thursday at Basketball City with 2 games. In the first game, defending champions M&D Construction Inner City Conquerors defeated Youth and Sports Eagles 74-71. Inner City was led by Livian Lee with 26 points, 17 rebounds, 6 steals, 2 blocks. He was assisted by Lesroy Benjamin with 17 points, 3 rebounds, 5 steals, and Javid Percival with 12 points, 4 steals, and 5 rebounds. For Eagles, Thabati Abram with 12 points, 3 steals, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. Stevenson Providence, 5 points, 14 rebounds, 5 steals. In the second game, Farmcare Bird Rock Uprisers defeated Ghetto Roots 89-72. Bird Rock was led by Junior Division MVP Cecil Angel with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 6 steals, 2 assists. He was supported by Taekwon Rogers with 18 points, 10 rebounds, 6 steals, 2 assists, and Khalid Thomas with 13 points, 3 steals. For Ghetto Roots, it's Yannick Roberts with 19 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals. Donald Keynes, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. Scotty Tyson, 10 points, 17 rebounds, 4 steals, 2 assists. The league continues on Saturday with the first of 2 games at 6:30 p.m. Fire and Rescue Firestorm will take on Keon Lions. Both teams will be looking for their first victory of the season. And in the second game, it's at 8:30. It's ASC Wolfpack taking on the challengers Exodus. Internationally, officials from the International Olympic Committee are due to wrap up 3 days of talks with organizers of the Tokyo Olympics. There is increasing speculation about the fate of the event, with just 2 months to go till the scheduled opening ceremony. Al Jazeera's Rob McBride reports.
National Olympic teams have been going through the usual build-up events, while all of them recognize these games will be like no other. That's assuming they go ahead.
We're all well aware of what's going on. You can't be naive as an athlete to know that. And we don't want to threaten the safety and the security of the Japanese as well. That's really important for us.
Brazil, one of the countries hardest hit by the pandemic, is vaccinating its athletes and accompanying officials, with other National Olympic committees doing the same. Such precautions underpin the International Olympic Committee's continuing confidence that the Games will go ahead.
The IOC has offered to the organizing committee to have additional medical personnel as part of the NOC delegations to support the medical operations.
But a request from Japan's Olympic organizers for medical staff to volunteer to help out has been criticized in Japan, where a widespread state of emergency is still in place.
With the slow vaccination rollouts in Japan, there is a risk of a variant strain originating here. In addition, people from all over the world will also bring variants, so at this point, I believe it's impossible to hold the Olympics safely.
That's a view consistently supported by opinion polls in Japan, but any decision to cancel the Games would be an extremely costly one. The budget has already ballooned to $16 billion, with only part of that covered by insurance. And Japan knows its loss from a cancelled Games will be measured in far more than just dollars.
I do think that losing face and reputation has something to do with it. Certainly the money is a big factor, but it is true that Japan has been working over the last decade or so to have this be its moment in the sun.
Just 2 months to go, and there's still no guarantee that newly unveiled team uniforms will finally get to be paraded at an opening ceremony. Rob McBride, Al Jazeera.
You have been watching the Skn Newsline Newscast. I'm Andre Huey. From all of us here at Skn Newsline and Channel 95, thank you for watching.